I'm afraid of dying. And then they'll say, look at all the things that we said instead of when I'm alive.
If there was one thing that white guys could know, that if every white dude you came across knew, your life would be easier, what would it be?
Talk to me like a regular person.
If you ever think like you have this fantasy moment where, let's say you're at the court, Martin's there, you see some white guy do what he's talking about, and you're like, oh, I'm going to check that dude so he doesn't have to. I'm going to step in. That could go backfire real quick.
When I see folks correcting other folks, they want to be seen doing the thing. The interactions that people are having with you that remind you, oh yeah, you're locking your car door because I'm black.
What does it actually mean to be a good neighbor to black men in this country? And how do you figure it out as a white guy if you don't have many black friends to ask? What does it mean to be able to show up without making it about you? If you're looking for the answers to those questions, you're in the right place. My name's Tim Wienecke. This is American Masculinity. In our 14th episode, we're lucky enough to have on Martin Henson. Martin's a former clinician who now dedicates his life to activism and education around black men in this country and what they need to thrive. We're so lucky to have him. I'll be honest, as a white guy out here in Denver, I don't have many black friends to talk about these things with. And that tends to leave me open to, when I show up in black spaces, to messing it up. I get overly nervous. I don't have a guide or a host in those spaces. And so I make some pretty basic mistakes. It makes it hard to show up. It makes it hard to connect. So I'm so happy Martin was able to come and have this conversation with me. We talked about how ego and fear show up in these moments. We talked about how treating black men like projects or causes do real harm, and how simple it is to ask someone, are you good? And how healing that can be. Some of the insights might sting. I know they did for me. Just remember while you watch, this isn't about shredding your past experiences. It's about improving your future ones. So be kind to yourself as you listen. If you're looking for something faster, like you don't want a whole hour-long conversation about this, you just want something to help you show up in spaces better, I went ahead and linked in a worksheet that we developed out for that. It's about 2 pages and about 6 minutes of video to help you get ready to go into spaces that don't necessarily belong to you. So if you want that, take a look in the show notes. I really hope you stay for the conversation, though. It's a really powerful one, and I can't tell you how thankful I am for Martin to come on and have it. While you're watching this, think about spaces that you're nervous to show up to, but you wish you could. I'll see you at the end. Let's get started. Hey, Martin, man. Thanks so much for coming on. It's been a lot of fun talking to you before we get going.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
So I guess I kind of want to start in naming what you and I are trying to do for folks. Like we were talking about a little bit before, I'm a white guy in Denver. I've got a multicultural background because I grew up outside of DC and I was in the Air Force. But in my day-to-day life, I do not have black guys around me.
Uh-huh.
And that means that I don't have people that I can trust to help me with my ignorance without hurting. And I know there's a lot of other guys in that situation. And so hopefully this conversation that I'm so happy you're here to be open to gives those guys a little bit of room to hear some things that I don't think would be safe to do with a stranger, right? Just somebody cold on the road. Like, these are not things that you should ask a stranger. So thanks for being willing to come on and do that, man. It means the world.
Yeah. Having honest conversations is what I'm all about. So that's what I'm trying to do.
So I kind of want to start with the idea of, if there was one thing that white guys could know, that if every white dude you came across knew, your life would be easier, what would it be?
I would say, talk to me like a regular person. Just talk to me like a regular person. I'm going to give you an example because sometimes you find that white people or white men are finding their understanding of themselves through their interaction with me. There's a sort of interactional humanity system. I'll give you an example. So I like basketball. I play basketball often. Not so much now. Getting older, less time. But
Bad
when
knees.
I was bad knees, they wake up, they hurt. Like, come on. But I'll go to the court, local YMCA, we'll hoop, and we'll have runs. Runs mean different games are played and people pick teams. What I noticed was younger white boys, white men, they talk to each other, talk as peers, and friends they may bring with them or folks they've seen before. But when they would talk to me, if they didn't know me, they would talk to me as if I was another child. So they're always having to assert their masculinity in interactions in ways that I'm not actually providing any sort of feedback or pushback from, in ways that they don't do with each other. So this sort of shared humanity is like missed in those casual everyday interactions, like tone,
Mm-hmm.
the authoritative tone.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend of mine. I can't even remember if it was him or I that said this, but it was shared sentiment among both. Is that white people talk to you like you work,
Mm-hmm.
and if that thing went away, and
Life
I
would be a
could
lot
really
easier.
break down it'd be a lot easier. If I could really break down all of what that means, but I'll just keep it simple. If that thing that I feel when I'm on the basketball court or when I'm having an interaction with a white guy I don't know that well, if
Mm-hmm.
that thing went away, my life would be easier.
That makes a lot of sense. We're raised to be afraid of you. Like growing up outside of DC, and my father, he hung draperies, right? And so he had all the government contracts. We'd go into the projects and stuff. And I was taught, and my father, like, he was not an overt racist, right? Like my mother's family were Klan. Like I know what overt racism looks like. I know what that hate feels like. This is just the candy coating of racism in America that we all get. You need to be afraid of them because they can hurt you. And what's interesting to me is like when I got into high school and I started to spend time with more black guys. Yeah, guys can hurt each other, right? Like you mouth off to the wrong guy, you're probably going to get hurt. And that's a little bit of that's how you negotiate peer, right?
Right.
But there's a difference between showing up expecting someone to try to hurt you, to make that protective space for yourself, than just feeling a guy out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's this game going to look like? How physical do you get? Can we have
Right.
fun? I got bad knees too. How hard are you going to go?
Right. Yeah. That thing happens, but sports too is a place where you are able to transcend the
Mm-hmm.
distance. So both of these things are happening in the same space, and over time, that thing goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And I oftentimes can know or have a particular interaction with white people or white men and know, oh, you play sports
Mm-hmm.
or you in the military because there's a level of comfort in how
Mm-hmm.
they deal with me. It doesn't mean that all the racist things that could exist go away, but I'm like, oh, we have a shared humanity that you felt somewhere before.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where once you have a relation point, it's so much easier to see the person. And I think that's just our nature, right? We other things, we categorize things. It's the way our mind is designed. But once you've got that touch point where we can relate on something, we're
Mm-hmm.
not as afraid.
Right.
Like when gay marriage was the thing, a lot of people were getting mad at all these crusty old white senators that would go to a nephew's wedding and all of a sudden turn his head on gay marriage. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
why did it have to wait until he had it in his life? And I
Mm-hmm.
wish that it would go faster. I wish people would be more curious and find it in their life sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we do that, just as a species, I think. You got to find people and that resonance or you can't make any movement.
Yeah, yeah. And I like that resonance. I like to
Mm-hmm.
have real connection with people. It makes me feel less paranoid
Mm-hmm.
because when I wake up in the morning, I don't think, oh, I'm a black man today.
Mm-hmm.
It's the interactions that I have with the world around me that remind me what I look like
Mm-hmm.
and how I'm perceived. And I love being black. It's a great experience. you know?
There's so many good things. And yet,
Yeah, exactly. But that is what it's like. You come into a
mm-hmm.
space and you're racialized by the interactions
Mm-hmm.
that people are having with you that reminds you, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're locking your car door because
Yeah.
I'm black,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
It sounds like some of the experience is understanding, like from the other outside, right? That you're reminded constantly that the world is afraid of you, and that means they'll hurt you. With you play ball at the same place. Sounds
Hmm.
like you've had a few guys where that washed through sport,
Yeah,
right? They sorted it and they stopped it. Has there ever been a time where you were able to talk to one of them about it?
not in the moment because it's so coded in like micro interaction where they'll come and they'll have a particular tone with you and how it puts me in a position where I have to respond a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to be assertive in a way that lets them know I'm not a child. And I'm making decisions here too. So if you walk onto the court, this is the thing that happens in every sport of basketball, any place you hoop. This dynamic is normal. So you walk into a court, somebody has next. You don't know who has next, so you got to go and announce yourself. Hey, you got next? Oh, I got. oh, I'm up next. And sometimes as it comes across the race, you might have a white dude that comes in and just kind of just assumes like that
Walks in
that
like we
he's
own it.
gonna, yes, walking like no, but that kind of dissipates very quickly in that space because you have to meet that energy with another assertive stance. The problem is I don't like that I have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't like that, and I can really go into how the way that I present as a black man is often mediated by the ways that people will undermine my presence or my intelligence or my understanding. And I have to be more assertive,
Mhm.
more loud than I want to be, more direct than I actually have to be to keep other things from happening. So
Mhm.
now we're caught in this dance of racial realities that nobody wants to be
So I can't by any stretch relate to your blackness, but I can relate being to a big guy that
in.
looks like who hurt you,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
there's an exhaustion that comes when you're moving in areas where that's seen first,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're, like you said, I need to project enough force to maintain my presence here, that like, hey, I belong here. This is not
Yep.
just yours. There needs to be space
Hmm.
for me. But it's on this knife's edge where if I'm
Hmm.
having a bad day and I snap at somebody,
Hmm.
they're afraid because now me being angry, me responding in this way is making
Hmm.
them react like I'm punching them, like that I could do the thing they're afraid of.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky, man. That doesn't happen. I'm a white dude in Denver, right? My life's pretty good. I can't imagine what that's like day in and day out.
Ah, it. It's you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to it, and you forget that you've gotten used to it.
Mm.
Unless you're in men's spaces or men's groups or the types of environments that allow you to explore. But you get so used to it, you get numb.
Hmm.
So with black men, oftentimes, I remember when I talked to a guy when I was in Boston. I saw him. We were at some place that was like a juice bar, and there was another high profile black death from police brutality. I was like, "Hey, bro, you good?" He's like, I'm all right. I have to ask again. Always got to ask more than once.
Hmm.
You sure you're all right? Because now I have to show you that it's okay for you not to be good.
Yeah, I mean it. You can really say.
Yeah, yeah, you really say. And then he's like, man, that's they gonna keep doing. And then you get into a little bit more because our first defense is to shell up and to be neutral
Hmm.
and to be people who might, for example, with me, people might see me in a different space. I don't know them. You're not
Hmm.
gonna know what I think.
Mm-mm. It's
So
not safe.
and it's not safe. And I've had to unlearn that. And I know that unlearning the ways that you protect yourself is not unique to being a black man. So when I'm talking to folks and we get to a point of vulnerability, then we can talk about what are those ways that we had to figure out how to exist in a way that allows us to have our full humanity. Because that's what I'm trying to figure out when I go into the space.
Hmm.
If they are so sensitive to what they imagine me to be, am I allowed to be a full person in the way that you are?
Hmm.
Laugh as loud as I want to, be angry or cry. And if I find that I can't do that, I have to negotiate what the cost of masculinity is going to be for me
Hmm.
here, because I know that masculinity has expectations. They still need it to be something,
Hmm.
and it might be protective to them, even if there's some fear around how they think I might show up. So I have to, and all these things, and you could probably relate to like these things. You do calculations
Hmm.
that happen really quickly and you move into the space. But now I'm a lot more intentional in figuring out how can they hold my humanity and what do I need to maintain to be still good.
Well, and that's that art. Like, to me, that sounds artful, right? That sounds like
Hmm.
you found that resonance within yourself and that art, and it's part of why you do what you do. I would think is that
Right.
you have some of the skill to dance that knife's edge better than a lot of us. I guess the kind of the thing that's running through my mind is when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of white knighting.
Mm.
Right, the minute I like found out about some kind of injustice, I'm a big loud white dude. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna speak to that. Next time I see it, I'm gonna get in somebody's face, and
Yeah.
that never goes well. If you're like, for any of the listener, if you ever think like you have this fantasy moment where, let's say you're at the court, Martin's there, you see some white guy do what he's talking about, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna check that dude so he doesn't have to. I'm gonna step in. that could go backfire real quick, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a white guy correct another white guy in that environment well, that made you feel seen, made it feel like the space belongs a little bit more to you based on what the group did?
No,
Damn.
I haven't. I've never seen it. And this is me not saying that it hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it because oftentimes when I see folks correcting other folks, unfortunately, and I know they mean well, they want to be seen doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I code it different. Okay. They want to be perceived well. They want to be perceived
It's
as
very
a
performative.
friend. Now, it's very performative. But I give a lot. And I think I'm different. I'm not going to say from most people, but I notice I give a lot of credit to people who mean well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say, okay, you're trying. We can work. We can figure this part out because you're trying.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always land for everyone else.
No.
I wish I had this experience where a white dude corrected something in a space where I was present, and I was like, glad I didn't have to do it, but I haven't.
Man, I was hoping you had one because I don't either. All my
Mm.
moments that I think of where my, allyship triggers up a lot of people, but just being a good neighbor, right? Like correcting something within my community when someone's slipping up. The only time that it's felt truly impactful is when it's just us. So like if I'm around a bunch of other white guys and one of them says something off color, I can correct him in that group if we're close enough in a way that checks it. Like, hey, that we don't do that, man. Where's that coming from? Like, what's happening right now that you think that's the way to be? Let's talk about it. I've never had a moment where I've been able to do that in front of who they were hurting, if that makes sense. Because you can't, I feel like just as a human being, you can't give someone safety. All you can do is create space for them to build their safety.
Yeah. I've been waiting. I've done it a lot for other people. Because I believe you give people humanity and you get it back in return instead of exchange. Just to be paying my rent for being on earth. Like I want everyone around me to feel good.
Yeah.
And be their fullest self to whatever degree they feel they need to be. But I haven't quite gotten that. And there's times where I wanted it. And I wish I didn't have to grow up or exist feeling as though it's only going to be me speaking for me. So I can do that for other people. Hey, I've seen that was hard for you. You good? You okay? Hey, or I can stop somebody. Oh, we're not doing that. You're doing too much. I can be that person and say it in a way that they can receive. I haven't gotten it for me because part of it is that people assume I'm thinking of the medical racism that happens where they think black people don't feel pain.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I feel that dynamic exists for black men where it's assumed that I have no impact because I'm not going to show you, but I'm not assumed to feel a way either. So like I'm waiting for that moment. Hopefully I get it one day. And hopefully
it takes some
else.
vulnerability. And the only way to be vulnerable is opening yourself up to pain. And if it's a stranger, why would you be vulnerable with a stranger? You don't owe that stranger anything. Just, basic, neighborly kindness, but like you don't owe them a part of yourself that's tender.
Yeah. So being seen is really important for me. Even the work that I do with my nonprofit, BMen Foundation, where we do support spaces for black men, being seen I know that isolation is so destructive to men in general. And to black men, we have our particular impact from the racialized system that we exist under. So I'm always trying to make sure that folks know somebody is looking for them in a room. And if they show up in a way that's unique or special, that somebody saw that and they spoke to it. And I want to be that person as much as I can.
I guess maybe if we want to see it in the world, right, we got to know what we're looking for. So you say you look for it, you wish it would happen.
Yeah.
In your mind's eye, what does it look like if it happens?
A white man speaking up for me. Oh, wow.
A white man making room for you. Not like, I think the big thing is like when we speak up for other people, we are failing.
Yeah, I can say one way. I haven't had it within like a sort of direct interpersonal dynamic, but I can say the way that I felt it most recently in a more distant way is because I write for a publication, a Beacon Voices in North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, and I wrote about George Floyd in the
Mm-hmm.
way that his entire existence was extracted and
Yeah.
disaster capitalism and billions of dollars were raised in his name that he never will see a cent of.
Mm-mm.
And being able to write that story and have it put out and say, oh, you're supporting me telling this story.
Mm-hmm.
That made me feel like, that feels like I got a piece of my soul back a little bit in
Was
that
it a
moment.
white publisher?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So some of it is, if you're a guy in power,
yeah,
look for people, like expand your search away from who looks
yeah.
like you. I like how Chris Rock put it in one of his old specials about equal
Hmm.
opportunity stuff. He's like, look, if it's a better candidate, get the better candidate. But if it's equal, give it to the black guy. Like if all
Hmm.
other things equal, give it to them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's always resonated because
Hmm.
there's exceptional people everywhere you look.
Hmm.
You can find exceptional folks if you're open to it in the world and you look for it. But I think we are trained as white guys to not look at you. And so if we remember to do that, I think that sounds like a start to like fight that kind of inherent way, like rather than looking at you with the immediate reflex of being afraid, catching that. And I think this has been the hardest part of me for different kinds of allyship is I don't stop being afraid. Like that gut check.
Hmm.
I'm 45 years old. I have not been punched in the face in 25 years. Right?
Hmm.
It still happens every now and then. Where like I want to
Yeah.
lock my door or I want to cross the street. And now what works is I check in with it because sometimes I need to cross the street. Sometimes that's a scary dude.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
he's twitchy, right?
Hmm.
There's something else,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
it's not always racism. Sometimes it's just, you know what, let me get away from this person who's having some kind of day. But by asking the question, it gets so much better in the world, just in my own mind. So maybe that's something. Like, what does that sound like to you when I say that?
Yeah. I think asking the question is helpful. I just think speaking for me, so I don't have to take on the like if something happens to black men in the world and a white guy can say that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like that feels simple, but it doesn't happen. So all of the advocacy, to give you an example, so all the advocacy that I do for black men across how we're treated and how we have these different outcomes due to
Mm-hmm.
uh, racial oppression, across education, across incarceration, across health, mental health, all of these things. And it's hard for me to look out and see a white guy with a platform that says, "Hey, what's happening to black men is kind of fucked up. I don't see
Yeah,
that anywhere. It's just not
it's
a
not a
thing that
lot.
exists." So
Not
that's
anywhere that's getting
that's where it
traction, that's for
starts.
sure.
No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what I'm looking for. And I think in the interpersonal sphere, if you're at a job or you know someone and something is happening that is unjust, knowing that this person, oh, I have a situation. Got it. I got it. You asked me, was there a time where a white guy spoke up? I got one. I
Yeah.
actually do have a
Yes.
story. This is gonna this. I'm gonna try to keep my composure. So when I was canvassing, I was doing political canvassing last year for the progressive candidate out here. We were going into different neighborhoods, mostly older. I think it was the retirement neighborhoods was one of them. A lot of times they were the rich. They were pretty wealthy. And the other parts of our canvassing didn't quite get into working class neighborhoods yet. We were in the early part. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in this retirement community and I was driving around. We were knocking on doors and I had drove around a circle. This I was walking my turf. The turf is what it's called, the place that you're
Mm-hmm.
hitting. And a car pulled up. A, it was a white woman and her partner, husband, friend. I don't know. She had a camera up. Like, what are you doing out here? I was saying, I'm talking to people at their door. Well, and she's like, well, tell me what you're telling them. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just go into this field because since you want to talk. And she's like, so she's like, no, I don't want to hear that. And she drives off. She has the phone, whatever. I keep walking. I keep doing my turf. I'm finishing up. It's a cul-de-sac, and maybe 2 blocks. I'm in my car. I haven't gone anywhere. A police officer pulls up behind me.
Mm-hmm.
We've been texting back and forth with my team because we tell each other when something's happening, so we can be ready for it. So they know. As he's pulling up, I like shoot a message up that, hey, the cops are here. Police officer comes up, does the police thing. Like, oh, what are you doing? We know we can give political messaging, not soliciting. So I say enough of that. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I go into being robotic in those moments. Say
Mm-hmm.
everything I need to say. I'm looking for it. I don't know if I'm really even looking at him at all. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing just enough to get the situation over with. Afterwards, he leaves. I'm like in the car, like taking a deep breath, like shook, because now that's the danger with those types of things. If you're canvassing, is violence that could happen,
Yeah.
not just from the people who see me as threatening at the door, but from the police that they may call. I'm absorbing all that,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep myself together.
Well,
In the
and you're
car,
having
so
to make someone armed unafraid of you.
I'm having to do that, and it's not the first time. But that moment, I've been trying to prepare myself because every time I would go out and do canvassing, I'm like, this can go sideways. But I have to remind myself that just because something is possible doesn't mean it's probable. It's like it's a whole list of things I'm telling myself get through it because I believe in what I'm doing. But anyway, my shift supervisor pulls up, older white guy, 45. He has a bolt on the back of his truck. He's like that type of outdoorsy.
Mm-hmm.
Does all the things, has lived a life.
He's got a gun
And I
rack.
get out. He doesn't have a gun, but he probably has a gun.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I get out my car, and he just like looks at me and comes to give me a hug, and I'm crying
Mm.
and into his arms, and I'm not having to say much. Like even now, I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
Because
But
he
in
saw
that
you.
moment, he saw me, and he knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how heavy it was. And of course, I told him afterwards. I told him what the details of what happened. But that moment was the moment that I would want for other black men to be able to have with the men in their world, where they're just
Yeah.
seen and responded to in the way that they need.
That to me also sounds like a beautiful moment of mentorship. Because how old were you at the time?
This is last year, so not I wasn't young, and he's not young either,
So he's your peer, just in leadership over you, is the way that
but
that would
he was
feel.
older. He was older.
Yeah.
I want to say he's in the mid 40s, and I'm 36 now.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
he's an elder a little bit.
yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
I like Bill Burr is a comic I have a hit and miss relationship with, right? Because he does the old white man stuff a little more than I like every now and then. But his latest special was great, where he did this joke about like, I'm in my 50s now. I feel like I should be trying to help people in their 20s and not trying to fuck them. And that's a good joke, but it really resonates where by the time you're in midlife, you can't look for other people to fix things. It's on you now, right? Like once you're in your mid 30s, mid 40s, we're the people doing the thing. And it sounds like in that leadership role, he'd been doing it long enough that he learned at some point what that was like for somebody else in your shoes.
You know what? He hadn't even been doing it that long. Now he had done that in that particular role. He hadn't been doing long, but he
Mm-hmm.
had been doing. He was a cook and he had supervised. He'd done that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, remember how we talked about that barrier, that shared space, that when
Mm-hmm.
you can tell when white folks have been in it somewhere. Like he was like
Mm-hmm.
that, and he knew enough to where I didn't have to say anything. And it was a powerful moment. He didn't come from men's spaces or counseling or like it was just everyday empathy and connection that just happened from two people being very genuine and authentic
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful moment, and the amount of trust that you had for him to be able to let that down in that moment with him, I think is really, really powerful. And I mean, he could have been open to it and he could have offered it, but you could have said no. You could have
Yeah.
gone robotic and stayed safe, right? Safe enough.
Mm-hmm.
But he had already earned some trust with you, it sounds like. Like he was already
And you know
somebody you
what?
respected.
Right. Like he it happened in that moment. And I don't think we debriefed, but we didn't really talk about it with the larger group. It was like a moment between us as men of like that was very fairly intimate and responsive to where I was at. That just it just gave me a lot of faith in humanity in a way
Mm.
that nobody could have prescribed that moment to me or
No.
made it just happened because he was who he
Yeah.
was and I needed that in that moment.
Yeah, I get that a lot in self-help space. Everybody wants to operationalize humanity and connection.
Mm.
Like, tell me what to do to be better with this, right?
Right.
Hey, girls don't talk to me. Tell me what to do to get them to talk to me,
Mm.
right? My wife's not behaving this way. What do I do to get her to behave this way?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is always the same, which is show up and learn how to talk to them. Like that doesn't happen until you've got some humanity between you to build on. Like you just got to learn how to like see somebody, how to ease your way into their life at an appropriate level in an appropriate way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're open, it happens. I was talking to, I was telling you about him before we got on, my Air Force leadership instructor.
Yeah.
He's big on mentorship. I think anybody who works in the leadership space, I'm sure it comes up for you in your men's groups. Leadership, right? It's what we need in the world. We need more guys stepping into that. And everybody wants to operationalize it. And it's just being around. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
If you're around, it will happen. And that's
For me, it's like
just hard.
that you mentioned this earlier about being fearful or being courageous. I can't remember how you framed it. For me, I have to be courageous every day,
Mm-hmm.
and I get those reps in. So now it doesn't feel as scary, but the fear doesn't stop. I still
No.
have to push through it.
Yeah.
And when I think about leadership, I get sometimes it's like I get a little tingly feeling in my stomach. It's like, oh, I gotta say something.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be me. And I walk into that. Now I could not. I could easily just do nothing. But that for me is that oh, somebody needs to say something. And then it's gonna be me that's gonna be that person.
Well, what I've heard from other people, and it's hard to relate to as like a cis white dude, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's happened every now and then a little bit for me just because I operate in space that doesn't belong to me, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's wonderful to know your own voice and to like
Yeah.
put it into the world where it can help and correct. And it's got to be exhausting. I'm sure there are times where you choose not to because you're too damn tired. At least I hope you take a
Yeah.
rest every now and then, man. You're doing a lot of work.
I should take a rest, but you know what? And I guess I named this. I never had a place where I've had to name this, but what I'm afraid of is dying. And then they'll say, look at all the things that he said instead of when I'm alive, instead of
Mhm.
like them listening to me. So I'm like, I gotta keep talking so I catch that wave. Because somebody's like, okay, I get what he's saying, and let's move more into this. Because the posthumous reframing of goodness that happens for people,
Mhm.
like, oh, this person was so good and so great that was one part of all of the deaths due to police brutality that I think about is how after they died they
Yeah.
were good, like not while
Yeah,
they were.
there's a well, I think that's a very like cultural thing across a lot of Western culture where, they don't speak ill of the dead. And I certainly saw it happen in the military where when a guy died doing a brave act,
Mm-hmm.
all his sins were forgiven.
Mm.
Right? Like all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden no one had a bad thing to say about him, despite the fact that like this one guy,
Mm-hmm.
he had a really wonderful moment. He showed up in the way that you're supposed to show up in that moment. And that's the beauty of service. And I didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But no one says that anymore. That the
Mm-hmm.
pressure of the martyr, I guess, is gotta be awful.
Yeah, like, and I think part of it too, and I guess how I can frame it as it relates to black men is
Mm-hmm.
that all of the positive attributions that they withhold when we're alive comes out in this sort of guilt-ridden like proclamation of how great and how good you were. So it's like it's not it's that thing that you're saying where we speak positive of that, but it's like more. because it's almost as if they know they should have said more or did more, and they're trying to make up for it after they're gone. Like, and I don't ever want to be that. So that's what pushes me to go so hard. But you're right. I do need to like find balance.
So it's almost like, since they were lost early, since they were taken early, they weren't lost, they were taken early.
Right.
People want to put as much life into them, even though they're gone, as they can.
Yes.
And then the pressure of that distorts some things, and it's missed opportunities that people are trying to make up for. And you don't ever want to be that for somebody.
Yeah. Nah, like I have nightmares about people going through my Facebook posts and Twitter posts and my YouTube videos after I'm gone and saying, "Oh, he said this thing on this day." And I'm thinking about it when I'm here. I'm like, I've been saying this for 10 years, but the day after, I transition, it will be the moment that it's like, oh, let's review what we can gain from this. So I don't want that. I give people flowers while they're here. I want my flowers while I'm here, because people need them. With suicide, I think about that. I've lost people to suicide, and I don't want to ever be called on. I wished I said how great you were. I wished I said how I liked your sense of style, or how kind you were, and all that. So it all frames into my ethic of how I engage the world, is to be forward thinking in how I distribute goodness and well-being to the people around me. And I want that for myself too.
Yeah, I think what I really liked about moving into the helping space is there's a resonance in the world where you get, when you're of service, the world tends to serve you, right? Like, that opens up some connections that weren't there before I started doing this work, that I desperately missed. I wish more people knew that. I love the depth and the vulnerability that you've shared here, man. I feel like it's a really good gift. It's bringing tears to my eyes on how much that's hitting me. I want to try to leave people with some practical, like we were talking about, right? You can't operationalize connection, but maybe you can operationalize not screwing up, right? Like, if I can't be the connection point and make that space for somebody, maybe I can just ensure in a moment where that fear is in me. How do I hold that without you having to hold it? Like, what would I need to do to show you that I'm handling my stuff over there, right? Like, not that I'm fixing it, not that it's not there, not that I'm better, but let's say you get that feeling off of somebody right there in the court, and they start treating you like you work for them. And then you see them catch themselves. How would they let you know they caught themselves in a way that isn't performative, but gives some space back to the room?
Yeah, I think is giving power, relinquishing power, and that asking if they're catching themselves in that moment, saying, "Hey, are you good? Like, what would you prefer? You want to do it like this? You want to do it like that?" It's like a very, it's not an
like
apology.
That soft dude apology, right? That, like, you good?
Yeah, but it's like kind of is. Yeah, like, because when you share power, that means that you're not threatened by what I'm gonna do with it, and you have trust in the way that I'm gonna navigate. So that sort of thing, that will be it.
Man, I don't think people who haven't experienced understand how powerful that "you good" comment.
Yeah.
It's just like sometimes it's the best apology we get, so we can go back to doing. You good? Cool.
Yeah. It's because in that moment, I'm acknowledging that I need you to be okay. I have a preference for you to feel all right in this moment. As guys, we're not gonna outline all the things, but you saying that, like, you good, you all right? Cool. For now, we can move to the next part.
Yeah, I think on the like, on my end of it, one of the hard things, and it's like the first time I heard it during the early BLM movement, it hit me like a ton of bricks with a white fragility of, oh my gosh, I tripped on something. I'm having all these feelings about it. Please take care of me after I hurt you. So I think the other end of that is, as the guy who's saying it, if you ask that question, you have to be ready for the answer. And if their answer is they're not, don't make them take care of you while they're not okay.
Yeah, that's the thing about when you're thinking about harm when it happens and forgiveness, people do not owe someone a response that will make them feel better or make it feel like the situation has been resolved. Like they don't owe them that. So that's what like people sometimes confuse when let's say someone hurts you. Let's say someone hurts me,
Mm-hmm.
and they might come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I wish I didn't do that." And I say, "Okay, cool." Now, you apologizing doesn't mean that I owe you the statement of I forgive you,
Yeah, I don't owe you
or like
forgiveness because you're
I don't
sorry.
I don't owe you forgiveness. I don't owe you shared situations. I can't make things go back to normal. And we would like to, as we make things as right as possible, we want that right as possible to be in relationship where we can actually offer other modes of repair. But what may feel right as possible for someone in a certain moment may mean distance. It may mean just letting you reflect. It may mean a variety of things, and that's okay.
I think that's one of the harder parts of a lot of this kind of work is the acceptance of their story for you. And I can apologize, but if we're only seeing each other in this instant in time, we're not close. We don't know each other.
Right.
I'm now going to be the guy that did that to you in your story. And that's all I am
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not in your story otherwise. And there's nothing
Right.
I'm going to say in that moment that's going to make me not the guy who did it. I can soften it. I can give you a ramp out of it, but I got to, we're gone.
Right.
I can at least acknowledge I did that. I'm sorry. Let me step back. You'll have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is the hard part for guys who don't have a diverse group around them is we never get to see the other side of it, right? Like if you're a human being and you're social, you're going to hurt the people you're social with. And part
Yeah.
of like the only people I feel close with are the ones that have let me repair and the
Yeah.
ones I've let repair because we
Yeah.
all make the mistakes. I think some of this is going to fall back on the men's groups like you got going on,
Mm-hmm.
where even if you don't have access to build relationship, to build community with these people that are hurting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a white guy and you don't live around black guys, and it's not appropriate for you to go trying to fish for a black friend. You're like, that's ridiculous, right? Josh Johnson had a great bit about that. He's like, I'm done being the first black friend. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. But if you can get around other people that are processing being that guy and
Mm-hmm.
trying to do better,
Yeah.
that are also trying, maybe it'll be easier to take the hit when you ask, like you mess up, you're the asshole in the moment, you get called out or you notice, and you say you're
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Sometimes that's all we get, right? There's no
Mm-hmm.
room for accountability. There's no space. You don't owe me accountability. But if I have people I can go process that with, that I can trust to like help me do better, that
Yeah.
I know are trying to do better,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's some of the best that these guys can do, that I can do out where I'm at.
Yeah, you find you're right. You find shared spaces in the process. Like when I was doing more on the ground work, I would say that to people. Sometimes you might need to get a good book group and light a candle at the house and do some reflection, like some expressive
Book clubs aren't
poetry.
for ladies aren't just for ladies anymore.
They're not just for ladies, but men. If we're talking about the dynamics in which men build relationship or connection, this like shared activity is one thing that's very big.
Mhm.
That men like to go and we don't like to sort of talking directly to you about feelings. We want to both shoot guns. I'm gonna take the most masculine stereotype.
Yeah,
Shoot
yeah.
guns and
Let's go
and
shooting so
talk,
we can talk about our wives.
yeah, or whatever it is, or go run go karts or go to the bar, or whatever framework it is for you to build connection with people. And if that's in places that are more expansive or more inclusive, then there's a line. Like when I was going
Mhm.
back to what I was saying before, knowing the people who have had some shared community with black folks, I can tell
Mhm.
because that little the flinch and that you do, or you being afraid when I'm too close behind you, or
Mhm.
uh, making sure I'm always in your line of sight, like all of those little subtle micro expressions, they dissipate. And I
Mhm.
might be one of the people who kind of learned the language of how to narrate those things. But
Mhm.
it hasn't put this sort of level of attention and focus of talking about it like that, and they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But
No.
if you're actually engaging spaces that allow for conversation, or engaging spaces that allow for other types of people to be present. Because as a
Mm-hmm.
black dude, man, if I go into a place and it's too many white people that look alike there, I'm concerned. It don't
Mm-hmm.
matter what the look is. It's just
Mm-mm.
if it's just
One
if
of
it's
these
too
things is
similar.
not like the other. This is
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah. If everybody in there got on plaid, or everybody in there got on
Mm-hmm.
camouflage, like it's just I can tell when there's not a lot of difference in a space. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always have to be relative to race, but I can tell in a
No,
space is too homogenous. That's one of my cues that I need to be on
this
alert.
space does
So
not
like
belong to me.
it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to somebody, and I don't want to find out the hard way
Mm-hmm.
that it's like that. So I think that people seeking out diverse spaces can really help that. Instead of being like the guy that said he was the first black friend, and you get pulled into predominantly white spaces, and I'm like, oh, I'm not having a good time here, and my white friend doesn't notice, like because this is
Mm-hmm.
his element, you know. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, that actually, I guess, I I really like the idea of being a good guest and being a good host in these moments.
right.
Right. Like if I walk into a place, like let's say that for whatever reason I find myself in a black barbershop and I'm the only white guy in the room,
Hmm.
I know I'm a guest there.
Hmm.
And that is exactly where this is not my space. If I walk into it like it's mine, I'm going to get checked and I should get checked. This isn't okay. And the difference is like for me, I guess like going back to high school, it was basketball. Like
Hmm.
the white kids played baseball and soccer, and football was more mixed culturally.
Hmm.
But basketball, like mostly it wasn't white guys. You didn't show up on the court. That wasn't your space. Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I knew that if I went with somebody who was hosting me, I could play ball. Like if I had an
Hmm.
invite
Yeah.
and the person that invited me was trying to host me, right?
Oh, okay.
Like hey, you good? Oh,
Hmm.
that's okay, man. That there was a plaid sale at Target. Like it's not like sorry. I know that's weird. Are you
So,
sure? You
question:
okay?
did you not get? This is how it typically is where I'm at. With basketball, if you're a white dude and you can hoop,
It's fine.
then you get a pass. But like you like, but if you're not
Yeah.
like that, then it's like then it's is that was it like that for
They
you, or
let you
was it?
know. So I
Yeah.
couldn't play well, man. I'm clumsy. I'm all feet.
Hmm.
And so I had to go in being willing to be a joke,
Okay. Okay. Got it.
right? Like for me, it was, can I make this humor before it's bullying? And this is where that guesting and hosting comes in, right? Like if
Yeah.
let's say that you and I were hanging out and I was going to bring you somewhere and I look around and it's all like people look like me and no one that looks like you.
Hmm.
I'm going to check in with you,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm not going to notice everything you notice. I'm not going to
Hmm.
cue on all the things you're going to notice,
Hmm.
but I can at least like check in with you, see if you're okay, see if you got questions,
Yeah.
and I can body block assholes, right? Like if somebody comes up and is misbehaving, I'm the host. This is my space. I'll correct that person. You don't, man.
Hmm.
You're something happens. I got you. Like you're a
Hmm.
guest here. You don't have to clean up this mess. But I think that we're so afraid, and we're so afraid that we ignore it. We're like, oh man, he's my friend. It'll be fine, and we don't check in.
Hmm.
And we don't look for their experience while they're there. You cannot
Yeah.
host well.
And like that, the difference is I don't mind difference and distinction. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. It gets weird when you're with someone who's uncomfortable with
Mm-hmm.
talking about it or acknowledging it, and it's changing what type of experience that you're having because
Mm-hmm.
they can't adjust in the ways that you have to.
I think for me, what I've found is, as like a more liberal guy, right? There's a lot of shame around white culture
Hmm.
because white culture doesn't exist without racism.
Hmm.
Like our families gave up their European identity to become white, and there is white culture. It's been going on long enough that
Hmm.
we've got some good things in there anyway, right?
Hmm.
Even though it was built from this thing, there's been some flowers, right?
Yeah, I got like Leonard Skinner, you
We
know,
got Leonard Skinner,
what's
mayonnaise.
the
I'm a big fan of
Journey?
mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise. There's a few things. Skateboarding.
Grilling culture, I feel, is very white, right?
Some of it.
At least
Some
up
of it.
here, right? Like that steak. I think we got to be respectful of time, and I want people to get to know this part of you too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The three questions I've been bringing to this, because at the end of the day, like the focus of this podcast is on masculinity and how different people experience different parts of it.
Yeah.
And the goal is with these is acknowledging that that is a masculine experience, but it is not the masculine experience. Everybody's got a little difference in how they run with that. So you ready for some of those questions that I handed you early?
Yeah.
All right, man. This has been my favorite one, because I've been surprised by the answer so many times. What's a truth about masculinity you learned before you were 12 that's still true today, that's made the test of time?
People don't know what to do with male softness.
Mm,
They just don't know what to do with it.
mm.
And it doesn't matter how much we talk about it, they still struggle to know what to do with it. Like I always say, men should cry, they should feel. And then when we do cry, like, whoa, what's what's happening? Like it disrupts something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a key moment in my office most of the time. Like a lot of guys only come in when their spouses make them come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the spouse
Mm-hmm.
always wants the same thing. I want him to
Mm-hmm.
communicate. I want him to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a struggle with when it starts to happen. It's uncomfortable. We're not
Oh
supposed to
yeah.
see men like that. Even with
Mm-hmm.
this person that is the person we're supposed to be allowed to do it with, it's hard. What's your
Mm-hmm.
earliest memory that got checked for you, where you weren't allowed to be soft?
Earliest memory, I remember I was a tearful kid. I don't know if it was a particular one that I have in
Mm,
mind, but I remember and my family always being like saying like, oh, like stop crying, like you shouldn't, like wanting to toughen me up.
hmm
And
Did you get the "I'll give you something to cry about"?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got that. I give you something to cry about, but I do remember like the focus on me being emotional. It's like this. Looking back at it now, this is idea that if you are tearful, if you're emotional, you're soft in that lens, you will not be able to navigate the world.
hmm
The world will break you
hmm
if you cry when hard things happen. And as I've gotten older, I'm still sensitive, but it doesn't package the same way. It's like
Yeah,
I
you've
have to
learned
complete
there's this shell over it that you can keep up,
the
that
shell.
they taught you.
And I'm protecting other people who
hmm
feel strongly, who show up, and I'm giving them the permission to do that by being a particular type of masculine man that says it's
hmm
okay. So it shows up now in that way. But yeah, that's what it was like when I was younger. The
hmm
message I got, toughen up, stop crying.
Yeah, I think there's a real truth to it as well. Like the
Mm-hmm.
world will not tend to your tears, and you need to find people that will. And I think that's the second part of the lesson that we lost. Right? I think there's some truth to, if you're a man in the world, like there's this expectation that I've got to be hard enough that people see me as safe, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can be soft with you.
Right.
And I'd love it if the bar dropped for what that took. Right? I hope that the
Oh
boys coming
yeah.
up we do better with.
Yeah.
But a buddy of mine that I work with, he says it best. He's like, our job is to teach guys they don't have to hold it together all the time, but they do most of the time.
That I really appreciate that. That's yes, yes. One of the things that was really helpful for me in my life, like my dad, he passed when I was younger, but
Mm,
he was always warm and very
mm-hmm,
loving, very, very a hugger, like very loving. And so when I tap into my parents, give me different things, like my mom,
mm-hmm,
my passion, my stepdad, my discipline. My dad like love, like he was a
mm-hmm,
lover. And when I think about how I show up and display masculinity, a lot of it is informed by how forward he was with being
mm-hmm.
caring with me. And there was never any moment that I felt like I couldn't get that from him. And as I
That's
got
a
older, I
beautiful
realized
thing.
when I got older, I realized everybody didn't. I didn't know that meant something.
Mhm.
And now I look at
That
what
was
I'm
just
doing
your
now. I'm
normal.
on yeah, this is normal, and I'm on podcast talking about masculinity and softness and all of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I think that's the tricky part of our family stories is we've got to most people don't have true monsters for parents. Most people have parents who were who they were and monstrous sometimes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of people, their parents weren't monstrous, they were just flawed. Right? But for
Right.
those of us with monsters in that dynamic, part of why it's so hard is because you've got to suss out both of those lessons.
Yeah.
Of like, this is what they taught me that is good, that I can bring into the world that isn't necessarily normal in other families.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I know not to do. And everybody's got to kind of figure out that story for themselves and their family. It's my favorite part of the job is helping people figure out what those are.
Oh, stories. I've learned that as I've gotten older, or now in the work that I do now, I do a lot of restorative justice and I do the advocacy. Now I'm a
Mm-hmm.
storyteller.
That's
Like
the only way to teach.
I didn't think that I didn't see being a storyteller a part of who I would become, but
Mm.
that's what part of what I am.
No, man, you're good at it. I'm glad you're doing it. So let's get two more before I let you get out of here. So the next one is tell me about a time when pursuing manhood hurt you, where you kind of did it wrong.
I remember being younger and thinking, you got me telling all these stories I've never told before.
Oh man, thank
Yes,
you.
yeah. I mean, it's time to tell them. I remember being younger, and I was like maybe 4 or 5 in kindergarten, and there was this little girl in kindergarten. I remember thinking, I'm supposed to be liking girls. It was like a
Mm-hmm.
year. I came to kindergarten a year early. I was like 4,
Mm-hmm.
and it hadn't hit me yet. And I remember that it hadn't hit me at that point. But I found this girl that I thought was supposed to be like cute or pretty or desirable, and I was like, she's the one that I'm supposed to like. And like, I guess like staring at her, like, oh, this is what you
Mm-hmm.
do when you like. This is as a young boy. And I remember by the time I think I was like first grade, that's when I got like my first crush, and I was so relieved. I'm like, now I'm now I'm like what I'm supposed to be. And so that
Mm-hmm.
was I don't remember anybody telling me any particular lessons. I was so young,
But something clicked, and maybe somebody
but
did, maybe somebody different, but you learned.
I learned, and I remember being relieved
Mm-hmm.
that I feel the thing that everyone else is feeling now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think the thing that makes me feel like the lesson about masculinity that I think it was felt so big at
Mm.
that moment in a way that it shouldn't have felt big.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I think
yeah, that
there's
I had to
a
unpack.
yeah, I think there's something to that where, kids play acting adult things
Hmm.
on a certain point is what they're supposed to do. Right?
Right.
Is how we learn. But
Hmm.
you never know when a kid is going to get the wrong end of it, right?
Hmm.
I think it's so interesting that yours happened so early, like that somebody kind of pointed you that way and you were holding this thing that was too big for how old you were.
Yeah. You don't think about what the messages are that you absorb, and it wasn't until I started to be exposed to a lot of other philosophies. I minored in philosophy when I was in
Mm.
my undergrad, and you start being exposed to feminist discourse
Mm.
and beliefs and understanding. And later, as I got older, they started talking about like scripts of what it means to be heterosexual, and I'm like,
Mm.
at first I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I started thinking back, like, oh, okay, I can see how this fits that, where you're learning
Mm.
what you're supposed to do. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a whole other episode, but the kind of the patriarchal sexuality that we get stuck with as heterosexual men
hmm,
and how much better relationships and sex get when you put that down.
yeah, yeah.
But it's so baked in that you can swim in it for so long and never know that you're missing out. All right, man. So we're gonna go out on a high note. Tell us about a time where pursuit of your manhood empowered you.
So for black men, there's a couple of things that are a function of our masculinity, which is community and elders and protection and family. spirituality. And I remember, I talk about the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, but more so I'm talking about the men there that
Mm-hmm.
had passed on and were killed through the police violence. And I think being able to speak to their dignity and get on stages and run rallies and protest in a way that they couldn't do for themselves anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a tragic moment to find this thing, but I felt it made me feel whole to be able to protect them in a sense, to speak for them in a sense, and feel like this is what it means to be a man, is to take on this sort of defense of the folks in my community, not just those men, but my cousins and
Mm-hmm.
my uncles and the grandparents, my my stepdad, and talking to him about the things I was advocating about that I know he couldn't say
Mm-hmm.
at the time. That thing that this is what it means to be a man for me.
You have this thing that you know is passionately important to you.
Hmm.
And then there's that inflection moment
Yeah.
where a man steps up.
Hmm.
Like, this is my moment. And then you stepped off and started running.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we trip, right?
Yeah.
I got plenty of
Yeah.
moments in my life where, like, oh, this is where a man steps up, fall flat on my face, right?
Hmm.
This one sounds like you did something hard and continue to do a hard thing from
Hmm.
service and protection.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have known to do that if it hadn't have been how you were taught masculinity.
Correct.
I love that.
Yeah. My stepdad used to make me read. He used to make me read Black history and write reports on it.
Well, he
And
knew
I
the
was,
schools weren't doing it.
oh yeah, especially now. Like
Sorry. So it shouldn't be
he knew
as
that,
funny as
and
that is.
he was older, and I hated it at the time, but so much of my sense of masculinity, my sense of responsibility and sacrifice and service, it comes from those stories
Mm-hmm.
that I read and I wrote about.
Well, and he wouldn't let them be erased for you.
Right.
I think that's the tragedy of America. Like, across the board, we erase our histories.
Mm-hmm.
And like, from my end, it's for privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be privileged, you got to put down these things. But I remember when I figured that out, and I still had some family old enough that I could go, hey, what's it mean to be Irish?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you remember about your parents
Mm-hmm.
that, like, they put away, that they didn't let you have? And I wish, like, that's something I hope we can learn from you,
Mm-hmm.
is we can find our histories if we put down our privilege.
Yeah.
And there's beauty in them. In culture that's just culture.
Yeah.
There's power, there's purpose, there's history that you feel in your bones
Mm-hmm.
that everybody has. Everybody's got
Mhm.
ancestors. I love that your stepfather was so purposeful about making sure you knew yours.
Yeah. He recently passed.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. And I would always tell him, thank you. Thank you for the thing. I learned this from you. This is what I'm doing. And I get to give it to somebody else.
I think that's how it's supposed to work,
Right.
right? Like that.
Mhm.
I think that's what I always try to instill in the fathers I work with is your kids are never going to give this back to you.
Mhm.
It doesn't belong to you.
Mhm.
It belongs to their kids and the kids they're around. And that's when you get to see things flower. That's when you get to see all that work come to fruition. But it's never, if you think about it like I'm doing this to get something, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Well, I'm going to go wash my face because I cried a little bit. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I guess kind of two final things is if there were a book or two that you wish people that look like me would read, what are they?
Oh, The Man Not by Dr. Tommy Curry. Yeah, he's one of the prominent figures in Black male studies. It breaks
Mm.
down a lot of the distinctions that happen for Black men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Man Not. Yeah, that's the book.
I haven't read it, so now I got something to do.
It is dense. Now I'm gonna give you forewarning. It is a dense book. Not an
I
easy
don't
read,
mind
but
dense. As long as there's some stories in there, I'm good. And
Yeah.
if there isn't, I'm sure if his work, like you're saying, has impacted all these people, I'm sure I can find some people that can have stories that'll back up what's in there for me if I need to.
Yeah.
Without bothering anybody. I think that's the other thing is you got to remember, like, it's nobody's job to educate you, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And there's people
So,
like you that are willing to do it for
hmm.
strangers. You don't got to do
Yeah.
it to them.
Yeah.
And then if people were looking for you, if they wanted to see some of your work, to connect with you, where would they find you?
Yeah. You can find me, find my org, BMen Foundation, at bmenfoundation.org. I'm on Medium, writing under Martin X, and on Substack
Mm.
at Martin HC. So that's where you find me.
And what's your nonprofit do?
BMen, we run support spaces for Black men. We do a support space once a month, every second Sunday. We run other programs, and we focus specifically on Black male advocacy and issues that are specific to Black men.
Mm.
So that's what we've been doing. We've been doing that for 7 years.
Mm.
It feels unreal every time I say it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where we've been at.
Every time I've talked to somebody who's either found or built a community, I think we're so starved for it that we forget how crazy it is when we have it, how good it feels, how whole it feels. So I'm so glad you're building that for folks. It's so needed. Just across the board, man. Everybody's missing it, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, man. I'm going to let you get back to your evening. You stayed a little long for me, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything.
Oh, this was a great conversation. Thanks for having me.
And that's our conversation with Martin. I hope you learned as much as I did. We fact-checked the conversation, and there really wasn't anything to correct. Martin's a fantastic professional who brought grounded insights and kept me on track. Remember, thinking is a smart man's procrastination. Take what you learned here and go practice in your world however you can. If you need some more help, take a look at the worksheet we developed out for how to walk into spaces that don't belong to you. I think it'll help. Remember at the beginning I asked you where there were spaces where you weren't comfortable going into? Has this made you feel any more ready to do so? Message me or give me a comment and let me know. I really want to make these as good as I can for you. We're still pretty new at this and I need the feedback. So take the minute, give me a message, leave a comment. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to build out a men's group. We'll see you there.